Hello and welcome to Backwoods Bourbon YouTube channel. 4th of July, what better time to start a YouTube channel than sipping bourbon on the 4th of July?
I can't think of a better time.
There's probably not a better time. So, speaking of starting a bourbon YouTube channel, we felt it was probably only appropriate to start the channel with,
Some affordable bottles that anybody can go to the store and get.
and not only go to the store and get, but entertain any kind of bourbon connoisseur that you'd be friends with.
Yeah. True bourbon connoisseurs.
So, from somebody that's just starting out, that's really never tasted bourbon, all the way up to the guy that's been drinking bourbon for years and has a massive collection that you'd be intimidated for him to even come over, one of these 6 bottles will fit his palate. Because most of the really experienced bourbon guys we know, they drink from very cheap to very expensive. When I say very expensive, I mean very expensive. But they don't. There's something they can find in this collection that. So what we've done, we've compiled 6 bottles that you can go out and buy all 6 bottles for
180.
$180. Easy peasy. And not only can you buy them, you can actually walk into almost any liquor store in the country, and these 6 bottles are going to be there. Not allocated. Don't do that. Don't start your bourbon collection with 6 allocated bottles and go out and spend $900 thinking that the only way you're going to make your bourbon buddy happy is to have very expensive bourbon, because it doesn't take that. We didn't hardly do it this way, but looking back, this is exactly how I'd do it if we're starting over today.
Absolutely.
So, I think most big YouTube channels at this point is where they thank their sponsors. Like, this video is brought to you by that part. So we should do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We're going to thank our sponsors. Here we go. All right, moving on. We got that down. Bottle number 1. This was a bottle we both agreed on. It's out of Bardstown. Small batch, 1792. It's 93.7 proof, and it is a very good entry-level bottle for the new to bourbon guy and the seasoned bourbon guy.
Absolutely.
You know, not everybody, just because you drink bourbon a long time, wants a high proof. So this is a very good 93 proof option to get started.
Absolutely. I love just open up with a smaller proof when I'm first starting out in the day.
Yes.
So that kind of ease into it.
We have messed up a few times. He's right. You do not want to start out with a 120 proof pour and think you're going to go back to a 90. We had the bright idea when we first started drinking. We was like, a gosh damn bug. All right. Caleb, you could ring us on take 2 here.
Take 2.
We had the bright idea when we first started bourbon collecting that we would have a drink or 2 of our better bottles, and then we would pull back the proof and finish the night on 90 proof, easier on the wallet bottles. Well, we figured out once you take a drink of 120 proof and you've had a few pours, that you just can't go back to 90.
No.
Can't do it.
You can't taste anything.
So we typically, on a night that we're going to sip bourbon, we usually start out with a 90 to 100 proofer and kind of get the palate warmed up, and we kind of ease up proof, or we find one we're comfortable with that night and just stay right there.
Hang out there.
But this bottle here, you can drink it in a Glen. You can drink it on the rocks. You can drink it straight up. And what I'm calling straight up is basically they put the ice in a shaker. You pour a little of that, shake real quick, get it cold, and then pour it into your cup. That way it's not getting watered down any more than it has to, but it is kind of chilled. I've always that was what straight up meant.
Makes sense to me.
I've never ordered it at a bar, so I can't
No,
tell you. I'm a straight, unless it's somewhere that really don't have a lot of options, and I'll do a Coke with bourbon.
So where's that Jim Beam at?
Yeah, if Jack Daniel's Old Number 7 is the only choice, we're going with Coke, Jack and Coke.
Yeah.
Not a sipper for me. Maybe for some people, but we did not include Jack Daniel's Old Number 7 on this list, nor
Jim Beam White Label.
Jim Beam White Label, because we don't consider them sippers. We want to get you 6 bourbons that you can sip, you can mix, you can share with your buddies, you can have a good time with, and not break the bank. On to number 2. Do you have number 2?
I do. Number 2 is coming out of Indiana. From MGP, it is Penelope, and this is the wheated. And the wheated is typically a little bit sweeter than just straight bourbon. It is much more pleasant for a beginner bourbon drinker. It's, if I'm not mistaken,
93?
95.
95. 95 proofer.
Not too high. Again, staying in that 90 to 100 range.
And a lot of the wheateds I've tried, there's a lot.
Yes.
But a lot of wheateds have that wheated funk at the end.
Yes.
And the Penelope does not. $35 retail. Solid product. We've all drank MGP stuff, but solid product, and a wheated is definitely going to be a very good beginner sipper to get your palate ready. When I first started drinking bourbon, it all tasted the same to me. Like, it was just hot. It was bourbon. I couldn't tell. I probably couldn't have picked out the difference between Old Number 7 and Pappy Van Winkle.
No.
But it doesn't take long for that to change. Couple weeks of trying this stuff, you will tell a huge difference between this drink, and you'll be able to pick them out. For the most part. It's easy when you take a drink, you're looking at the bottle, take a drink. Oh, yeah, it's totally different than that. When it's in a blind, it's a little bit, your brain doesn't work the same way.
No.
Do I have number 3? I do have number 3.
You do.
All right, number 3 actually just got on the list about 2 hours ago.
Yes.
Our buddy called us and he said, Chris, next time you're out, I found a bottle that is absolutely one of the best budget bottles I've found in a long time. He said, it's $18. So, pick it up, try it, let me know what you think. It's also a wheated bourbon. This is out of Bardstown. Lux Row Rebel 100 wheated bourbon. And the only complaint I had about the whole bottle was the cork's a little bit loose. It's
You don't get that satisfactory.
It did not have a cork pop that was very good. But don't let it fool you. The juice inside could probably go head to head with a lot of $40 to $60 bottles.
Absolutely. It actually, we're going to take a second and have an honorable mention.
The bottle that it bumped out.
The bottle that it bumped out 2 hours ago was Larceny Small Batch.
It did. It's better than Larceny in my opinion.
Absolutely.
But I'm a proof guy too.
Yeah.
Larceny is 92 proof.
92.
And this is 100, so it hits my palate a little better. The only thing that this is not very viscous. It's not got the best mouthfeel.
Yeah.
But the flavor is really good, and for $18, I will not complain about the mouthfeel.
No.
I guess I too have number 4.
Yes, you do.
All right. When we thought about doing this list, this is the very first bottle that came to my mind, because I was like, what bottle could somebody have that's in the $30-some range that I could absolutely drink every time I went there and never be mad about it? This is Wild Turkey 101, and I love it. It's a phenomenal bottle. Jimmy Russell over at Wild Turkey, man, this bottle don't miss. Now, we don't have the 8-year yet. We have tried to get it, but they're gone. They didn't get many in our area, and they were gone before we ever got there. By the time we could get off work on the day it dropped, they were gone. We don't have, and one thing about us, we don't really have these super connections. We know a couple owners. We kind of know when something's going to come out, but they're not going to hold anything for us, and we're not getting a phone call. We are pretty much just enthusiasts. We're not on anybody's list. And I apologize for the vehicles. We live beside the road, and that's just going to be a part of it. But Wild Turkey 101 deserves to be in any collection, and anybody that really appreciates bourbon can appreciate this bottle.
Absolutely. I guess that moves us to number 5.
Number 5.
Which is Jim Beam Single Barrel 108. Unfiltered. That is a wonderful, wonderful bottle. For
$25.
And again, that's another one that you could just walk right in.
Now listen, it's going to be sitting beside the Devil's Cut bottle. Don't be fooled by the label. Like, go with this one. Go with this one. If you have a grill out back, the Devil's Cut is a really good charcoal lighter.
Yes.
It has a lot of good purposes. Sipping is not one of them.
Maybe mixing.
With the fire, I don't know. I'm sorry, I can't say that. It is not a favorite of mine. But now, honorable mention, the Jim Beam 7-Year Black, really good, solid.
Absolutely.
Devil's Cut is really the one Jim Beam that I've not really cared for. Yeah.
That moves us to our final,
which I will say is probably my favorite out of this lineup.
Absolutely. It just so happens to be what's in our glasses
Absolutely.
right
now. Absolutely it is.
And just by me pulling it up, you will be able to tell we like it a little bit.
Yeah. And there is a backup bottle in there ready, so nobody panic.
Absolutely. This one is another Beam product. This is Old Granddad 114. This was a total surprise to me. It shocked me. For $34.
And pretty much on any shelf of any store you walk into. Like, honestly, if you go into a liquor store and this bottle's not there and this bottle's not there, change stores. They're probably into fine wine. They're not into bourbon.
No.
Definitely a favorite for me. I could drink that any day of the week. So, in your collection, you're going to go from a 90 proof to 114 proof. None of these have to be mixed. They are all sippers. And you can buy all 6 of these bottles for the price of that little book on the end at retail. Which we were lucky enough to buy that at retail.
Absolutely.
And in fact, I'm not going to act like I'm better than anybody else. When we first got into this, we did buy a few bottles at secondary. A few that I really wanted, and that's going to be the problem. These places that sell them at retail, they're going to move quick. They're not going to be there every time you walk in. The places that sell them on the secondary pricing, they're probably going to have them.
For a while.
For some for forever.
Yeah.
But, it really just depends on how bad you want it. I'm not saying that you should never pay secondary prices. And at first, I didn't have a problem. I didn't have as much of a problem paying secondary prices. But like, for instance, last Tuesday, Buffalo Trace hit a pretty good drop around here.
Yeah.
We had a E.H. Taylor small batch come out. Like, our local store had 3 cases.
Yeah, just sitting.
When we got there, it had 3. So I don't know what they started with. So they had 3 cases of that. They had 5 or 6 cases of Eagle Rare 10-year. Mm-hmm. They had a
case of Blanton's.
So all that went at retail. And we did actually pick up another one of these. We have a few. But, the first one of these I bought was secondary for $85. The next 5 we bought at retail for 40, what was it, hon? Food City, $44. So, the first time you pay like 85, you don't think that much about it. But once you start buying it for 45, it is really hard to go back and pay 85 again.
Absolutely.
The difference is at 45 is not always there. But for 85, you can walk in and buy it at a local store here.
Yeah.
So not really a problem with secondary prices. But once you start getting this stuff at retail, you start realizing, like, man, I think I'll just wait.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
and so when you do find it at retail, if there's no limit, buy a couple. You know, I was going to spend 85 for one secondary. Why not buy two for that?
Yeah,
You know, spend the same
exactly.
money for twice the product. Now, moving forward, we're going to be doing some blinds. We're going to try to do some bourbon hunting. Like we're gonna try to entertain. Yeah, yeah.
Do a little bit of fun. Some blinds, maybe.
Kind of what we're thinking next is a budget weighted blind, like a budget weighted battle. Basically, like Penelope, larceny. I don't really. A lot of these people will do blinds with. They'll have a 90 proof and a 114 in the same blind, and like, if you're a proof guy, if you don't like much proof, you're going to steer toward the 90s, and if you're a big proof guy, you're going to steer toward the 114. So automatically, your blind is skewed. I feel like you should really stay relatively in the same proof
Yeah.
and just judge on, the enjoyment. We're not very scientific. I'll be the first to admit that since COVID, my nose is not as good as it used to be. I can pick up like a weeded. I can tell that. I can tell, a high rye. Like I'm pretty good. I can tell, vanilla, caramels, some dark fruit. But 27 different aromas out of one. My nose don't have that anymore.
No.
Flavors. I can tell you grain forward. I can tell you, red fruit. I can tell you vanilla, caramel, but we're not professionals. We're not critics. We're not professional tasters, but I know what I like.
Yes.
And so I think we'll try to share that. We'll give our opinions on taste. And the weird part, you can do a blind today with 4 and you can pick, 1 through 4 your favorites. The next day, that
could
can
be-
be different. Some days, some bourbon hits you good. Some days it don't,
And honestly, depending on how long a bottle's been open,
That
Well,
changes
also-
things. The neck pour is a little more violent. Like
little bit.
after it's had air for a couple weeks, it tends to
Mellow
open up. One perfect example. We bought the short barrel
yes.
double oak. The neck pour, we both tasted it, and neither one of us really liked it.
Not impressed.
We corked it back up 2 weeks, and we took another taste, and was like, wow, it's a different,
developed.
yeah, it's a different bourbon. But definitely thanks for joining us. If you're still here at the end, definitely give us a like, a follow, a share, a comment. Let us know what your 6 would be.
Absolutely.
If you're already established, let us know what your 6 bourbons would be. Give us your opinion on this. If this is terrible, we will back up and punt and do it again. But we definitely wanted to find something that was budget friendly, that would really suit a lot of different palates. You could entertain, you could do whatever, and not break the bank.
Yeah.
So we'll try to put out a couple videos a week, but until then, we're going to probably keep spending money we don't have on bourbon we don't need.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Perfect. Catch you next time. Nailed it.
Yeah.